certainly with identity politics, woke culture, cancer culture. I thought that was something that ravaged our nation psychologically, because you had people literally scared they were going to lose their jobs if they pronounced the wrong pronoun, for crying out loud. It got that bad, and I think that's one of the reasons that Donald Trump is in office today, because so much stuff, a lot is focused on the individual as opposed to actual policies itself. I'm talking about what they preached and what they talked to the American people about.
That's ESPN host and outspoken Trump critic Stephen A. Smith, leaving CNN's Jake Tapper visibly squirming as he tears into the Democrat Party for ditching real policy and obsessing over fringe progressive nonsense. Welcome back to Nurk News. I'm Nurkish. If you needed a sign that the Democrats have totally lost the script, this is it. A longtime liberal like Stephen A. is now boldly voicing what millions have known for years. The so-called party of the working class has morphed into a clown show driven by identity politics, gaslighting, and a complete disconnect from reality. And now, in a hilarious twist, even regime media outlets are trotting out disillusioned liberals like Stephen A. to say the quiet part out loud, because the press itself is too cowardly to admit it.
Do you realize that if you are an elected official, your real work is with the campaign? Once you get into office, literally you can get away. I'm talking about the nation's capital specifically, not state and local politics, just the nation's capital. You realize that you can literally go on Capitol Hill, and all your job is to disagree with the other side. You don't even have to do anything else. Whatever the other side feels, you feel the opposite. That's not work. That's not going across the aisle. That's not maneuvering your way through the terrain, through the political terrain, and really negotiating on behalf of your constituency and the American people. All we're doing is engaging in acrimony and hate. And as a result, the American citizens are suffering. So when I look at it from that standpoint, and I think the kind of impact that I could have as a centrist, as a moderate, as somebody who believes in being sensical and engaging in common sense, unfortunately, I believe that if I did take this very, very seriously and I moved forward and I decided that I wanted to be a politician, do I believe I could win? You're damn right. But it's by default. It's not because I'm the most qualified candidate in the world. It's because of the state of our politics in the nation's capital, the politicians that we're looking at, and the fact that we don't believe for 1 second that they are serving the interest of the American people, nor are they interested in it. People look at me and they know one thing: I would be interested in serving the American people and doing what's in the best interest of this country. That means you, that means me, that means the black community, the Hispanic community, the white community, everybody. Because if all of us are rife with chaos, all that's going to lead to is America's destruction. And why would we want to be a part of that? So again, I'm not qualified. There are plenty of people that are qualified, more qualified to be at, practically everybody. But are you going to win? And are you going to be committed to doing what's in the best interest of America? I know I'm that kind of person. That much I will say for myself. I'm not interested in division. I'm interested in galvanizing. That's what I'm about. That's what I try to be about. And sometimes you do that by calling it like you see it. And that's certainly something that I have proven I would do. I'd call it like I see it.
So when Stephen A. said the real job of elected officials these days is just to reflexively oppose whatever the other side says, he nailed the core dysfunction in Washington with brutal clarity. It's not about serving the American people. It's about scoring cheap political points and playing to the cameras. And while both parties dabble in this performative nonsense, let's not kid ourselves. The Democrats turned it into an art form. They've built a political culture where governing means nothing, but virtue signaling and buzzwords mean everything. And the most awkward part? Jake Tapper just sat there nodding while Stephen A. roasted the very machine Tapper helped power. These legacy media figures pushed the hysteria, amplified the outrage, and fanned the flames that got us here. Now they're left looking stunned as even their own guests torch the system they spent years defending. It's poetic justice.
What are some of the things that Democrats have been doing that have turned you off and that make you say the party needs to be purged? Who needs to be purged from it, first of all? Do you have any names?
Well, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to do that to a lot of people. But we know who the extreme left is. We know how they go about operating. We know what we lean towards when it came to open borders. We know that the spending was excessive, even though it's excessive on the Republican side as well. I think a $37 trillion budget. When Republicans try to act like it's just the Democrats, that's not true. But the Democrats certainly shouldn't be absolved from blame in that regard. I'm talking about what they preached and what they talked to the American people about. more so than what they're doing. The kind of messages that they were disseminating was incredibly uncomfortable to listen to and to hear. And I thought that it wasn't emblematic of what most Americans are thinking about. They're trying to pay their mortgages, rent, buy food and groceries, pay gas, and deal with the prices, the cost of living. And they want safety in the streets. That's primarily what most American citizens are about, trying to live in peace and harmony. And that's not something that I think either side has promoted along the way. And that's why I think the state of the nation is what it is at this particular moment in time.
You know, I don't agree with Stephen A. Smith on everything, but he nailed it here. What we're watching isn't a normal political shift. It's a complete moral collapse from a party that used to champion working class families and economic opportunity. Now, it's a circus of pronouns, race obsessions, climate hysteria, and cancel culture purity tests. The Democrats used to say they were for the little guy. Now they're too busy policing Twitter language and pretending men can get pregnant to notice that families can't afford groceries or gas. And Smith, to his credit, is calling it out, loud and clear. And the real kicker is this. It's not just conservatives saying it anymore. It's people like Smith, lifelong liberals, who've had enough of the lies, the division, the condescension. He said it best. This party doesn't even try to solve real problems anymore. They perform, they argue, they yell across the aisle while Americans suffer. And when you point this out, the left doesn't reflect, they attack. They brand you a bigot or a traitor. But people are waking up, because when you can't pay your rent or feel safe walking at night, identity politics won't save you. Then there's the media, like Jake Tapper, who helped build this disaster and now sit awkwardly pretending to be surprised by it. Tapper's blank stare while Smith dismantled the entire progressive machine says it all. These talking heads pushed this ideology, defended it, amplified it, and now they want to act like innocent bystanders while the country burns. Smith just held up a mirror, and Tapper didn't like the reflection. Smith is right to be angry. Americans are being gaslit, divided, and pushed into ideological cages. The left has traded solutions for slogans, replaced unity with tribalism, and shoved merit aside for identity boxes. They've become everything they once warned against: authoritarian, out of touch, and morally smug. And in doing so, they've alienated the very people they claim to fight for. The working class, minorities, everyday Americans. They're leaving the party in droves. And Democrats have no one to blame but themselves. So when someone like Stephen A., a cultural figure with massive influence, starts calling this out, it's not just commentary, it's a warning, a signal that the tide is shifting. That even the voices the Democrats thought they owned are no longer playing along, and unless they abandon the ideology and get real again, this collapse will only accelerate. But let me know what you think. Is Stephen A. right? Did the Democrats lose touch with reality and doom themselves with radical identity politics and elite gaslighting? Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.